There's a movie called Arlington Road. Have you ever seen it?
What's the plot?
It's Jeff Bridges and Tim Robbins at like the height of their powers. It's like 1999. It's a movie about the making of a patsy. There's a plot to blow up something, and this new neighbor moves in, and this guy is like a cool, neat guy, but also like something's off about him. And this whole thing is about how a patsy is created and the steps that people that are trying to do harm to the structures of society and civilization that we have or to a nation, like how they manipulate things to get to like set someone else up to look like the person who did the thing, even though they're the ones doing it. Okay. It's just super well done. It was the first time I was like, oh, right. Like, it's not just bad guys do shit and then it's like, oh, look, it's the bad guys. It's like, one of the things that bad guys do to keep pulling off doing bad guy shit is they make it look like it's somebody else who's doing the shit in the first place.
Yeah, misdirection.
And it hit me this morning because they caught this guy. Well, I mean, they found his body.
There you go.
So
easy catch.
Yeah, if you're not familiar, Jeffrey Epstein.
Shout out to Jeffrey Epstein's murderers.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein's murderers love shout outs. Actually, they don't. I'm going to tell you.
They're kind of low key.
They are very big on trying to stop any shouting out from happening. So we all are familiar with Epstein, and his sex trafficking partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, got denied bail, I think, a week ago.
She tried to cover her computer in foil.
Yeah. Well, So there's been a lot of things about Epstein and Maxwell that have been tied into like Mossad, right? Like the Israeli intelligence organization, like where the money comes from, how the thing goes on. There's been a lot of talk, right? This is purely alleged that like the whole Epstein deal was a front to entrap
to put people in compromised positions.
Yeah, to compromise people for Israeli intelligence, right? Like that's essentially the claim that's made about the group, right?
So real quick, let me shut this in. Danny Deutsch, he does morning show, Morning Joe.
Interesting last name.
Yeah, Danny Deutsch. And he told a story when all this first broke, and at first I just thought this nigga's covering his ass. He talked about how Epstein, when he first met him, the first thing he did was like try to figure out what type of girl Deutsch like. And Deutsch said he immediately thought it was creepy. Because he was like, why did he care so much about who I wanted to fuck? He said, that bothered me, and I never liked the dude after that. He claimed he didn't know about anything else. He was just like, after that, he just rubbed me creepy. And then he went on to say, that's how they put guys like me, a billionaire, in compromising positions.
Yeah, it's not new shit. If you're unfamiliar with Deutsche Bank, it's not Donnie Deutsche's bank. It's a different unrelated things. Different Deutsches. Who would have thought there'd be even two versions of Deutsche out there? But there's a couple versions out there. Anyway,
probably the
Deutsche Bank, if you're familiar with Donald Trump's financial dealings, they are a big backer of him. He actually sued Deutsche Bank at one point while another arm was giving him a loan to go and buy Trump Tower in Chicago. Like that's there's all the deals.
They did the deals in Scotland.
Look,
they did
Deutsche Bank does shady shit. Okay, like if you're familiar with Deutsche Bank funds mobsters, gangsters, big oligarchs, shit like that, right? And so
that's their jam.
They had a case recently assigned to a judge by the name of Esther Salas, dealing with investors who were upset about the fact that they were losing money over the fact Deutsche Bank had taken on risky clients, including Jeffrey Epstein. Right. So there was a big lawsuit that was going on. They'd already paid out a lawsuit of $150 million in New York over losing a similar version of a case. And now they're in a new case, and this judge, Esther Salas, gets assigned to this case. I think 2 days ago now, a man shows up at her house. She doesn't answer the door. The husband, I think, answers the door. Husband gets shot. Son killed. The judge assigned to the case downstairs. The man leaves the house and is gone. Now, already, you're like, obviously, this has to do with Deutsche Bank. bare minimum. The thing gets more interesting when you find out who the guy is. His name is Den Hollander. Den Hollander is a guy who had plenty of cases with Salas before. He's a Trump donor. He's an anti-feminist. He does cases for men's rights activism. I mean, if you've seen Arlington Road, you're going, this guy's perfect.
That's our man.
This guy's perfect. This is the Dark Knight shit in real life. This is how it works every time. You've seen House of Cards?
Yes.
House of Cards does this perfectly in the first season. Homeboy that plays Yellow Jacket in Ant-Man, I forget what his name is, but he's who's the guy who plays Yellow Jacket in Ant-Man? He's also in
yes. He's
like Balding Cat.
Yeah.
Super dope actor, right?
Very dope actor.
You can tell he's a dope actor because nobody who's got that type of hair should get to act.
Exactly.
I'm not being rude. A wig for like 3 years of that Guillermo del Toro Porno vampire movie that was on FX just to try and cover up the fact homie has no hair. House of Cards sets up the same shit. They need a guy that can be the fall guy, right? When the shit goes south, they find a guy who already has an addiction problem. They set him up to be the fall guy so that Spacey's character can make his move, right? This is not different to me in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, the guy's a Trump donor. Yeah, the guy wrote a book about a FedEx delivery driver going to a home. He wrote that book 5 years ago. He's had these arguments with Salas years ago. There's been plenty of time for this guy to just go and randomly shoot this lady who he doesn't actually shoot. He shoots a husband and
her son.
On top of that, this man is then found dead less than 24 hours later.
How long?
They identified him.
How long do you think before we get the news that Salas had been threatened before this and did the "you can't threaten me" thing?
You think you're gonna get that news?
we're not now, not in this moment, but I'm saying how long? That's what I'm saying. Is it 5 years, 10 years?
Somebody was like, you can't claim that people like run the way the powers that be and how things work. I mean, that's shit that happens on TV shows. And I'm like, those people run TV shows too, right? That's the same.
Yeah,
the Illuminati also runs NBC, goddammit.
We just heard about the judge's family getting shot. We planned to talk about this before he got killed.
Right.
And I saw this thing about how conspiracy theories, even though I'm the biggest conspiracy theory person in this conversation, it was saying how most of them fall flat because the number of people that would have to keep a secret for them to work, it just grows exponentially and it's too high and it's just virtually impossible. And there's actually an algorithm that they created where they like take into account the thing that you're talking about. Like, I think for the moon landing to have been faked, it would have taken 200,000 people.
Sure.
And that's fucking possible.
How many people need to keep a secret?
Yeah, 200,000 people would have had to keep a secret.
Right. But this guy, if you look into his background, he used to work for Kroll. And Kroll is known to be the CIA of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Kroll is heavily involved in security in regards to financial transactions. I mean, former Kroll associates have been mostly like CIA station chiefs and involved in, guess what, Mossad Israeli intelligence. So there is a full circle part of this that kind of goes around that is extremely scary. Not as scary as, say, a president sending, troops to a city that doesn't want them there, but definitely scary on a large scale because it shows that there is a level of thing at play here. Do you think Epstein is the big deal here, or is it Deutsche Bank?
I think it's definitely Deutsche Bank.
Yeah.
Deutsche Bank is laundering money for Russian oligarchs buying mostly real estate, a lot of it in America. That's why Trump got so many loans through them. Justice Kennedy retired from the Supreme Court because his son was facilitating many of those Trump loans and others and was about to get hit. And I believe the way he saved his son was giving Trump Kavanaugh.
Obviously, this guy got activated by somebody, right? Somebody hit this dude up and was like, listen, here's the deal. We're going to either expose XYZ about you or we're going to pay whatever to whomever to make it worth your while to go knock this out, right?
Yeah. How did they know that it was him that did the shooting?
The only witnesses, other than one person who claimed that they saw him in a driveway or something, who would have no idea who he is. One's dead and one's in critical condition in the hospital. Yeah. But within 24 hours, they found this man with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That is amazing police
Did he
work.
Still have the FedEx uniform on?
Do all this about
I'm saying, how this nigga laid up with the FedEx uniform on and a map to this bitch house? How did they?
With a package that said Esther Salas on it. If you remember, during all this abolish the police shit we've been talking about, the homicide clearance rate for police is not very great. It's not a thing they were super awesome at. In less than 24 hours, they found this dude way the fuck somewhere else. Not close by. Self-inflicted gunshot wound.
I will qualify that you are right. Local police, they're not good at that. But
right.
The federal marshals are.
Sure. That was quick as shit, though, man.
Yeah, I know. No. I'm not. We understand that federal marshals do have capabilities. However, that's still fucking insane.
You're just trying to be careful in case the federal marshals come here this week. You just want to make sure.
Hey, you know what, man? I'm doing jumping jacks and shit, and I figure, here's the thing. I am not trying to die. However, I feel like I might knock one of them motherfuckers out. Because, are they capping motherfuckers?
No,
or are they just trying to snatch niggas? It's like, okay, if they don't identify themselves as police, I have a right to be like, nigga, what?
Honestly, if they're just snatching people up, you are a formidable problem for them.
Yeah,
you know
they probably...
we're going to go find a smaller guy. Let's go grab James.
Or it's somewhere in between. It's somewhere in between a problem, or they're going to be excited like, oh, it's a big one. this is what we trained for. Take this motherfucker down. Because who doesn't want that story? It took 6 of us.
Are we ever going to get an answer for this thing? Is there going to be truth that comes out?
What's really going to take is if New York gets those docs, whenever they get them, doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck. They don't get them till next summer. Whenever they get them, if New York can get those docs, and everybody sees what the fuck is going on, somebody at Deutsche Bank is going to shit their pants and squeal.
But somebody's got to want to get them too, though. There are a lot of people tied into that bank.
Yeah.
They've been offing people left and right, and they have not really seen a whole lot that's come out of that. Do you think that Ghislaine makes it to try? I mean, she's talking about coughing up a bunch of shit. Do you think she's surviving?
What if Deutsche Bank is running this whole motherfucker? Like, what if they're the motherfuckers that's pulling all the strings? Because
look at who they're connected to. Trump's the president. They've backed him. How are they not pulling the strings? They financially kept him viable.
Here's something nobody ever takes into account. At the end of the day, when you like try to figure out who's the person moving and shaking, it's usually some motherfucker with a bank. Y'all fans of what's that shit with the dragons and shit?
Game of Thrones.
There you
the
go.
Iron Bank.
The weed.
It's all about the Iron Bank.
Yeah, it's the Iron Bank, nigga. Like, there's always an Iron Bank. There's always somebody behind that's allowing this shit or forcing this shit. And Deutsche Bank is known dirty.